You ever notice how everyone treats winter like it's some kind of punishment? Like it's something we all just have to survive together until the world becomes tolerable again. But then there's you, sitting in your apartment on a Saturday afternoon, third day in your favorite hoodie, watching the frost creep across the window, and you feel something nobody's talking about. You feel completely at peace. Like this is exactly where you're supposed to be. And for a second, you wonder, is something wrong with me? Spoiler alert, there's nothing wrong with you at all. You're just wired differently. And understanding why might actually change how you see yourself. Because here's what nobody's explaining. When your friends are complaining about seasonal depression and counting down the days until summer, you're experiencing winter in a completely different way. Not just tolerating it, not just getting through it, actually thriving in it. And there's real psychology behind this that goes way deeper than just liking hot chocolate and sweaters. So let's talk about why some of us are genuinely happiest during the season that makes everyone else miserable. Because once you understand what's actually happening in your brain, you'll stop apologizing for who you are. Let's start with something you've probably felt but never had words for. Why does staying home in winter feel so fundamentally right? Like not just okay, not just acceptable, but deeply, almost spiritually satisfying. You look out that window at the cold, dark world, and instead of feeling trapped, you feel this quiet sense of victory. You made it inside. You're warm. You're safe. And something in your chest just relaxes. This is called contrast effect comfort, and your nervous system is doing something specific here. It's measuring the difference between the harsh environment outside and your cozy space inside, and every time it registers that gap, it rewards you. Little hits of satisfaction chemicals. Your brain is essentially celebrating the fact that you successfully found shelter. This isn't laziness. This is an ancient survival mechanism still running in the background of your mind, throwing you a dopamine party because you did the smart thing. You got somewhere safe before the cold could get you. Now compare that to summer. In summer, when you're inside, your brain does the opposite calculation. The weather's beautiful. People are outside. There's barbecues, beaches, life happening everywhere. And your nervous system registers staying home as a loss. You're missing out on something good. There's this low-level anxiety humming through your body because society has decided that summer equals life. And if you're not participating, you're doing it wrong. Even if you don't want to be out there. Even if the heat drains you and crowds exhaust you. There's still this psychological pressure radiating through your windows like judgment from the sun itself. But winter flips the script completely. When you stay inside during winter, you're not avoiding anything. You're actively choosing the better option. The math in your brain just works differently. And there's something else happening too, something called refuge appeal. Humans are hardwired to find enclosed, protected spaces more satisfying when there's a perceived threat outside. For thousands of years, winter was that threat. Cold could kill you. Storms could trap you. Your ancestors who felt deep satisfaction from finding shelter during winter were the ones who survived. And you inherited that wiring. So when you're bundled up at home while it's freezing outside, you're not being antisocial. You're satisfying a craving that lives in your DNA. Plus, think about what winter actually asks of you. Reading under a blanket, watching movies in the dark, making soup, existing in soft clothes without having to perform for anyone. These are all low-stimulation, high-comfort activities. They don't require you to be on. And if you're an introvert, if your nervous system is already processing the world at high volume, winter is the first time all year when the outside world finally matches your internal rhythm. You're not fighting against the season's energy. You're in perfect alignment with it. Everyone else is finally moving at your speed, and it feels like the world just makes sense again. Here's something you might have noticed. Do you feel more creative in winter? More focused? Like your brain suddenly has room to think? There's a reason for that, and it has everything to do with how dramatically social expectations shift when the temperature drops. In summer, there's this unspoken rule that you're supposed to be living your best life. Posting sunset photos, attending outdoor events, being aggressively, visibly social. And if you're not doing that, if you're staying home because that's genuinely what you prefer, you feel weird about it. You feel like you're failing at summer. For introverts, summer isn't a vacation. It's an endurance test. But winter hands you a free pass. Sorry, it's too cold. Nobody questions this. Staying in tonight. Perfectly acceptable. Winter provides social cover for the lifestyle you wanted all along. You're not avoiding people, you're being sensible. You're not antisocial, you're just responding appropriately to the weather. It's the most beautiful loophole in existence. And here's what's fascinating. Introverts have higher sensitivity to external stimulation. Bright sunlight, heat, loud outdoor environments. These are all high-intensity inputs that drain your nervous system faster than most people realize. Winter naturally reduces all of that. Shorter days mean less intense light. Cold weather means fewer people outside. Everything's quieter, darker, more muted. The world turns down its volume. And for someone whose brain is already working overtime to process everything, winter feels like someone finally gave you the remote control and let you adjust the settings to something comfortable. There's also research showing that people actually think better in cooler environments. The optimal temperature for cognitive performance is around 65 to 70 degrees. Not the 78-degree summer heat that makes your brain feel like it's moving through honey. In winter, you're more likely to hit that sweet spot naturally. Your body isn't burning energy trying to cool itself down, so your brain gets more resources for actual thinking. This is why you might notice you read more in winter, why you finally finish projects you've been avoiding, why ideas come easier. Your mind just has more space to work. Okay, here's the part that might sound controversial, but stay with me. The darkness is actually good. I know, we're constantly told that winter darkness is terrible, that it causes depression and makes everyone miserable. And yes, seasonal affective disorder is real. It affects about 5% of people seriously, and if that's you, that matters and you should get support. But for the rest of us, especially those who genuinely love winter, something completely different is happening with darkness. Something nobody talks about. Early darkness creates natural boundaries. When the sun sets at 4:30 in the afternoon, your day has a clear endpoint. There's no guilt about winding down early because your circadian rhythm is literally telling you it's evening. Your biology and your behavior are finally in sync. Compare this to summer, when it's still bright at 9 p.m. and you feel like you should be doing something. Being productive, maximizing daylight, squeezing every drop out of the day. Summer light doesn't end. You're fighting your own body's signals just to stay awake long enough to experience darkness at all. You're overriding your biology. And that's exhausting. Winter darkness also does something called temporal compression. Your perception of time changes. Days feel more contained, more manageable. You're not overwhelmed by the sprawling, endless quality of summer days where it feels like you should be accomplishing everything all at once. In winter, time has edges. It has shape. Everything feels cozier, more focused, more intentional. You're not scattered across 12 hours of daylight trying to justify your existence. You have morning. You have evening. The transitions are clear. And let's be honest about the aesthetic for a second. Winter darkness is objectively more interesting. You get dramatic skies, early stars, the warm glow of windows against dark streets. There's a melancholy beauty to it that summer just can't touch. It's atmospheric. It's moody. It gives you permission to feel things that bright, cheerful summer weather doesn't make space for. For people who love winter, darkness isn't an absence of light. It's its own presence. It's a canvas. It's a feeling. It's a feature, not a bug. Here's maybe the deepest reason some people love winter, and it's the part nobody wants to admit out loud. Winter gives us permission to rest. And we're so starved for that permission that when it finally comes, it feels like relief at a cellular level. Modern society has completely rejected the concept of seasonality. We're supposed to maintain the same energy, the same productivity, the same social output all year round. 12 months of maximum performance. No slowdowns. No cycles. Just constant, relentless output. But that's not how humans evolved. That's not how we're built. For thousands of years, winter was a time of conservation. You stored food. You stayed close to home. You slowed way down. And you didn't feel guilty about it because literally everyone else was doing the same thing. Winter wasn't failure. It was survival strategy. It was wisdom. People who love winter are still honoring that rhythm. When you love winter, you're not fighting against rest. You're embracing it. You're recognizing that productivity isn't the only measure of a life well lived. That sometimes the most meaningful things happen when you're doing nothing. When you're just thinking, reflecting, processing, existing without agenda. Winter creates the container for that kind of living, protects it, it legitimizes it. And for introverts who spend the rest of the year feeling guilty about needing alone time to recharge, winter finally validates that need. You're not being selfish. You're not being antisocial or broken or wrong. You're responding to the season. You're being human in the way humans were designed to be. You're listening to something everyone else is too busy to hear. So if you love winter, what does that actually say about you? It says you value introspection over constant stimulation. It says you understand that coziness is a legitimate form of happiness, not just a consolation prize. It says you're comfortable with darkness, both the literal kind outside your window and the metaphorical kind that comes with being alone with your thoughts. It says you don't need external validation to enjoy your own company. And honestly, in a world that's always demanding more, brighter, faster, louder, that's not just okay. That's powerful. That's rare. That's something worth protecting. Next time someone asks why you love winter, you don't have to apologize or make excuses. You can tell them the truth. It's not despite the cold and dark. It's because of it. Winter people understand something everyone else is missing. We're not sitting around waiting for life to start again in spring. We're already living. We're just doing it quietly, intentionally, on our own terms. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. If this clicks something into place for you, subscribe. This whole channel is about understanding why we are the way we are. Honest psychology for real people, no jargon, no guilt. Because the more you understand yourself, the less you have to apologize for being yourself. And that's the whole point.